Kaido versus Madara. Now I've seen this versus battle make his laps around the community a few times, and now I'm here to give my answer on who would win this fight. Starting with Kaido, now I'll be using ores to scale Kaido's strength since it makes it easier for me. Now in the Thriller Bark art, we see Gecko Moria state that after ores would defeat nations, he would take their whole islands with him. And Or's Vivir card goes into it even more, stating he pieced several countries together, creating one giant country, which is rumored to be Wano. Now, how big is Wano? In the manga, they state the distance from the flower capital in Kibi is 1,000 miles. And for reference, let me show you a map of Wano and where those two spots are. We also get additional coverage on that as they state Luffy's Barjane gun can be felt 1,000 miles away. Not everyone in Wano is able to hear the Barjane gun, thus supporting the previous scan. Now, as it said, Ors created this over 500 years ago, and he was born 800 or 700 years ago, which is right after the Void Century, with his Vivir card stating the mega country was likely Wano. It would mean Old Wano, which is much larger than the new Wano by at least 2 times over, and some people even say over 2 times bigger than the new Wano. So this feat has been calced to require the same amount of energy as it would take to destroy a continent. And if you want to look at this calc more in depth, I'll put the link of this information in the description. And though Luffy wasn't strong enough to beat Ors in Thriller Bark and Wano, we actually see Luffy go against the numbers. And Frankie says their Ors size, and Big Mom says their attempts at making ancient giants, which is what Ors is. Luffy then goes on to one-shot these giants. So Luffy definitely scales above Ors at this point massively, and Kaido scales above the Luffy who beat the Ors-sized giants. So Kaido will actually scale to this too. We also have other low tiers of the verse able to perform feats like this, completely cracking a continent of straight ice, and he deemed his grandson Sai strong enough to crack the continent of ice with his foot. Garp was also stated to just completely pulverize 8 mountains and called them his punching bags, so he views destroying 8 mountains as a warm-up. And we also just have the feat of Aokiji creating a continent of ice, and many other feats like Fujitori's meteor and all that people count to be around the continental, sometimes even multi-continental level. But I just think this is solid enough to call Kaido continental. And before we go on to speed, I thought this question might get brought up since Devil Fruit powers were being used in some of the feats. So do Devil Fruit users even scale to their powers? Yes, we've known they do since Alabasta arc when Luffy and Crocodile were fighting. Luffy states Devil Fruits are only as strong as their users, quoting Crocodile. Crocodile has another statement saying Devil Fruit powers are strong based on how long you use them and how long you train with it. Both of them are reliable sources as they're both Devil Fruit users, and we know Crocodile's 1.965 million berry bounty is based off his intelligence and his Devil Fruit powers. Now in order to scale Kaido's speed, I will be using Luffy. Now in pre-time skip in Sabaody, Luffy was able to dodge the Pacifista light beams multiple times, and in this specific scan, Luffy was calced at being relativistic, being a little over 1/3 the speed of light. Now, Gear 2 is a 10 times multiplier as stated in Databook Yellow in the French version, which can also be backed up by the fact that Blue Nose said that Luffy in Gear 2 is kicking the ground more than 10 times, and Fukuro measured all of their powers with all of them in base, and this was before Kaku and Khalifa ate their Devil Fruits. The system was being based off of physical ability as well. Blue Note gets a 820 and Rob Lucci gets a 4000. This is important because when we see base Luffy go against Blue Note, they showed extreme relativity to each other. Both of them hitting each other multiple times, getting in their moves, keeping up with each other in speed, and Luffy even states if he stays the way that he is now, he won't be any good, and goes into Gear 2 and then is able to blitz Blue Note. I forgot to add this into the next part, but I see some people talk about Luffy and Lucci scaling to each other in base, but base Lucci is actually consistently shown to be above base Luffy with just a few instances where they're matched. Now, once Luffy gets to rob Lucci, he goes into Gear 2 against a base Lucci and completely blitzes him and sends him flying. Rob Lucci immediately goes into hybrid form. Now, if base Lucci was a 4000, how strong is Rob Lucci in hybrid form? Now, we know from Rob Lucci's statements, zones get stronger in hybrid physically and their power increases even more as they train. And we also have Kaido's statement of his hybrid form strengthening his physicals. And with the impressive feat difference between base Kaido and hybrid Kaido and base Lucci and his hybrid, I think it's fair to give it a 2 times amp, making Rob Lucci's power level in his hybrid form 8000, and Luffy in Gear 2 with the 10 times amp 8200, which also makes sense since what we see in the anime and the manga with Luffy and Lucci having an extremely hard battle with each other, and Luffy in Gear 2 with his speed being able to overpower and outspeed Lucci on occasion. So if you apply the Gear 2 multiplier to the already relativistic base pre-time skip Luffy, he'll come out to be just under 4 times the speed of light in Gear 2. Now we know base Luffy after the 2-year time skip is way faster than pre-time skip Gear 2 Luffy because he is effortlessly dodging pacifista beams with his eyes closed in base. Meanwhile in Gear 2 he was struggling to dodge the pacifista light beams. So now with base post-time skip Luffy being just under 4 times the speed of light, we'll just round it up to 4 since it's so close, and we'll apply that 10 times Gear 2 multiplier to him. That would get Gear 2 Luffy post-time skip to 40 times faster than light speed. Now onto the Dressrosa arc. Luffy unlocks Gear 4 against Doflamingo, who says Luffy power increased several times over, being a minimum of 3 times, now making Gear 4 Luffy 120 times faster than light. Now, beginning of Wano, Luffy fights Kaido in Gear 4 and gets blitzed. Kaido then uses the same attack on a rooftop base Luffy, and Luffy almost fully dodges it, and Kaido even says he sees Luffy won't get hit by the same attack head on twice. To lowball it, we'll just say this base Luffy is just a bit faster than Gear 4 Luffy at the start of Wano, so 125 times faster than light, then making rooftop Gear 2 Luffy 1250 times faster than light, Gear 4 Luffy 3750 times faster than light. And hybrid Kaido scales above Gear 4 Luffy, making Kaido at least 3755 times faster than light. Now we could include Luffy's stronger forms like Gear 5, but we're not giving a exact multiplier on how much stronger the form makes him, even though we know it makes him much stronger, but I'll just keep it lowball to this so everybody can be fine with it. Kaido's durability should be a bit higher than his AP at the minimum, since he's known for having high durability due to his mythical zone fruit, which gives him scales, and those with relative AP to Kaido still wasn't able to hurt him from the outside and had to resort to attacks that negated durability. Now for Madara, I will be scaling his EMS form first before his later stronger forms to see how the battle would go at his weakest. Now, I'll be using Kuruma in order to scale Madara's strength. In many data books, we get statements that Kuruma that's only at 50% since Naruto only has half of Kuruma at this point, with Minato having the other half till later in the war arc, has the strength to just completely destroy a planet and turn it to ash. And then when Madara states he has the power to destroy their universe, meaning their world, he references the Biju, saying, like the Biju, which obviously Kuruma is the strongest Biju, so he would scale to that feat as well. And a EMS Madara is stronger than a 100% Kuruma, and put a 100% Kuruma under his control, so this obviously means EMS Madara is planetary. Now, let's talk about a stronger form of Madara. If One-Eye Rinnegan Madara was said to be getting close to Hagoromo's power and is just trying to attain the power like his mother, who was Kaguya. And Madara then goes on to attain another Rinnegan, absorbs the God Tree, and obtains a Rinne Sharingan like Kaguya. He had become just like Kaguya and surpassed Hagoromo at that point. And we know Hagoromo scales to Kaguya as he was able to seal her with the help of his brother. And as we know, Kaguya has 6 dimensions, with some of those dimensions hosting moons and even stars. This would scale someone like 3-Eye Madara to star level as he scales above Hagoromo, who is able to damage Kaguya, so he would scale to star level as well. Now, I've watched a video of Seth's called "Can Naruto Destroy a Planet?" in the past, and I think this video is the perfect video for anyone who still has a problem with anything I'm saying, so I will be linking his video in the description. Now for speed. As early as the Land of the Waves arcs, we get a databook statement saying Haku moves between the ice mirrors at the speed of light. Sasuke is able to perceive Haku moving through the mirrors with his Sharingan. Remember this now. Naruto with Kuruma's chakra is able to overwhelm and defeat Haku. Now, on to the tuning exam. We see Lee versus Gaara, and Lee uses 5 gates. Lee using these 5 gates should give him an amp of at least 5 times from my guy's statements of utilizing 20% of your muscular energy, and then gates allowing you to break that limit and utilize 100%. This is important because later when Sasuke fights Gaara and uses Chidori and immediately blitzes through Gaara's defense, we get the info stating Sasuke as Gaara's strongest opponent. Minato's statement to Kakashi saying that Chidori amped his speed too much and he wasn't able to control it at first. So through this we can get Chidori's amped speed to be at least 6 times, being slightly over the 5th gate. Let's go over Sasuke and Naruto's fight at the final valley now. Naruto using Kuruma's chakra was so fast, Sasuke stated he couldn't even keep up with him. Meanwhile, Sasuke could keep sight of Haku with a weaker Sharingan than the one he was using in the fight against Naruto in the final valley. This easily gets Naruto to the FTL speed with Kuruma chakra. Now, Sasuke later uses Curse Mark 2, which from Jirobo's statement we know is a 10 times multiplier. Sasuke uses Chidori and Curse Mark 2 to later clash with Naruto using Sengan and KCM1. Sasuke's amp being at least a 16 times amp at that point means Rasengan is also a 6 times amp like Chidori, and Kuruma chakra giving Naruto a 10 times amp, while Naruto only has 50% of Kuruma. That being said, it gets Naruto and Sasuke with Curse Mark 2 and Naruto with KCM1 for Rasengan and Chidori respectfully to 7 times faster than light. Now, base Naruto and Sasuke are stronger and faster than their previous selves in those forms, making their new bases post time skip at least 7 times faster than light, with Curse Mark 2 post time skip Sasuke then being 70 times faster than light and 420 times faster than light with Chidori. Now later Naruto unlocks Sage Mode, which we know is a 10 times amp because Orochimaru was searching for the origins of Jugo's clan power, which the Curse Mark is based off of. Orochimaru, however, was unable to obtain that power. Now, Kabuto later goes on to obtain that power and has become a sage and says he surpassed Orochimaru, who we know has curse marks at his disposal and is uninterested, making Sage Mode obviously stronger than curse marks, which is 10 times amp. So this is why we'll be going with Sage Mode being a minimum of a 10 times amp. So with that being said, Naruto with Sage Mode using Kuruma's chakra and Rasengan would already get him to 4200 times faster than light. Now I'm just going to stop here as we know EMS Madara scales massively above Sage Mode Naruto, and he also scales to Hashirama, who would scale above this. We could get Madara to some ridiculous speeds by the time we get to his full power, but that would just take more time than we have today. It clearly isn't necessary anymore at this point. Madara is clearly fast enough in his weakest and strongest form to just blitz Kaido and one-shot him. He also has access to sealing jutsus, and even though Madara's AP is high enough to just damage Kaido externally, he also has a true seeking orbs with access to Duraneg, so Madara just wins this fight no matter which way he looks at it. And if you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, then subscribe, as I will be dropping more anime/manga related videos on this channel in the future.